Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This video reached you because your awareness is shifting. Ever wondered why you're suddenly noticing signs, patterns, and strange coincidences? It's not random. It's proof you've already found the observer key and your destiny is moving right now. When we talk about the observer key, we're not describing a physical object you can hold in your hand. It's something far more powerful, a hidden capacity within you that unlocks the ability to see life with clarity instead of confusion. Think of your daily experience like a crowded theater where countless thoughts, emotions, and external distractions perform on stage. Most people sit in the front row, overwhelmed by the drama, believing the play is their only reality. But when you discover the observer key, it's as if you suddenly find a quiet balcony seat. From there, you're no longer lost in the chaos. You can finally see the patterns, the movements, and the bigger picture. The observer key is essentially a shift of perspective. It awakens that quiet, watchful part of you that notices without judgment. Instead of being trapped in anger, sadness, or fear, you can step back and say, this is what I'm feeling. This is what's happening. That subtle space between what you experience and how you react is where transformation begins. For the first time, you're not a prisoner of your emotions, you're the one holding the key to your freedom. Psychologists often call this metacognition, the ability to think about your thinking. Spiritually, many traditions describe it as awakening or enlightenment. Whatever language you prefer, the essence is the same. You recognize that you are not your thoughts, nor are you your temporary moods. You are the awareness that notices them. And this awareness is the very thing that shifts destiny, because once you see clearly, you can choose differently. Let's make it practical. Imagine you're in traffic and someone cuts you off. Normally, your instinct might be anger, honking, or muttering under your breath. But with the observer key activated, you pause, you notice your chest tightening, your pulse quickening, and you realize, this is my body's automatic reaction, but I don't have to feed it. Suddenly, the power is back in your hands. You can breathe, release it, and continue on, rather than carrying that negativity for hours. That one small moment ripples into the rest of your day, shaping how you interact with others and how you feel about yourself. The observer key also reveals repeating life patterns. Maybe you've noticed you attract the same type of relationship over and over, or the same conflict shows up in different jobs. Without awareness, it feels like fate is punishing you. With awareness, you see the loop, and once you see it, you can step out. This is the doorway to destiny shifts, breaking cycles that once controlled you. So the observer key isn't just an abstract idea. It's a living tool waiting for you to use it. It's the part of you that lifts above the noise, watches without fear, and recognizes the choices hidden in plain sight. Once you've found it, you can never truly unsee it. You're no longer just surviving life's play, you're beginning to direct it. The timing of this video reaching you is no accident. Think about it, billions of pieces of content exist online. Out of all of them, you're here, right now, reading or listening to these words. That alone should make you pause. When you step into the mindset of the observer, you begin to see that life often arranges itself in ways that look coincidental on the surface, but carry profound meaning underneath. This is what we call synchronicity, the invisible hand of alignment guiding you toward the exact message, person, or event you need at the precise moment you need it. The reason this message found you is because you're already in a state of readiness. It's not that the observer key suddenly appeared, it's that you have become open enough to recognize it. You may have noticed lately that your old ways of handling life feel heavier, or perhaps patterns that once made sense now seem meaningless. That restlessness, that tugging inside, is what drew you here. You didn't stumble onto this video by mistake. Your awareness attracted it, just as a magnet pulls in what resonates with its field. Consider how often this happens in life. You think of someone, and they suddenly call you. You overhear a conversation that answers a question you've been secretly wrestling with. You pick up a book at random and find exactly the sentence you needed. That's not randomness. That's the universe's way of speaking in whispers. And when you're awake enough, those whispers sound like shouts of confirmation. At this point in your journey, your destiny is shifting, and guidance naturally arrives when you're about to step onto a new path. Think of it like walking through a dark corridor. The light switch doesn't reveal itself until you're close enough to reach for it. The fact that this video appeared in your life is that switch. It's the confirmation that you're standing at the threshold, ready to enter a new room of experience, perspective, and possibility. Some people call this divine timing. Others call it law of attraction or destiny alignment. Regardless of the label, the essence is the same. When your inner state shifts, the outer world begins to rearrange itself to meet you where you are. You're here because you asked for clarity, for change, or for proof that you're not imagining the transformations happening within you. And now, the proof is right in front of you. So instead of dismissing this as coincidence, take it as validation. Life is saying, you're ready. Ready to observe more deeply, ready to break cycles, ready to step into a reality that matches who you've been becoming all along. The observer key didn't lead you here by chance, it brought you here by design. And now, the choice is yours. Will you walk through the door that just opened, or will you pretend it wasn't there? Awareness might seem like a small, almost invisible thing, just noticing what's happening in your mind or around you. But in reality, awareness is the hinge upon which your entire destiny can turn. Think about it. Every choice you've ever made was born out of what you noticed, what you paid attention to, and what you believed was possible at that moment. Change your awareness, and suddenly the field of choices before you changes too. That is how destiny begins to shift. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up, go through routines, react to circumstances, and fall asleep, only to repeat the cycle again. They don't realize they are trapped in unconscious patterns, acting out scripts written by old habits, wounds, or even cultural conditioning. Without awareness, these patterns feel like fate. You keep attracting the same situations, the same type of people, and the same disappointments, and you wonder if life is against you. But when you activate the observer key, you step out of the script. Awareness shines a light on the loop you've been living in. Suddenly, you're no longer inside the problem, you're looking at it from above. And from that higher perspective, you see the choices you didn't even realize you had. Take a simple example. Let's say you always end up in draining relationships. Without awareness, you might conclude that this is just your destiny, that you're cursed to repeat the same cycle. But awareness lets you pause and ask, why do I keep saying yes to the same type of person? What belief in me attracts this? That question alone is the beginning of a new path. By observing, you interrupt the unconscious loop. And once interrupted, destiny has room to change direction. Here's another way to picture it. Imagine life as a vast chessboard. If you're only aware of the single piece in front of you, you move blindly and get trapped. But when awareness expands, you see the entire board. You realize you're not just reacting, you can strategize, anticipate, and create outcomes that once seemed impossible. This shift from blind reaction to conscious choice is the bridge between an old destiny and a new one. Awareness doesn't just change the future, it transforms how you experience the present. When you notice your emotions without drowning in them, when you witness your thoughts instead of obeying them, life begins to feel less like a storm throwing you around and more like a river you can navigate. That inner calm, that centeredness, allows you to make decisions that align with your true path, not just your fears. And here's the real beauty. Once awareness takes root, it becomes nearly impossible to go back to sleep. You can't unsee the patterns. You can't unknow the truth. Every moment becomes a doorway where you either step back into the old or forward into the destiny your awareness is carving open for you. The first sign, emotional detachment. One of the clearest signs that the observer key has been activated in your life is the experience of emotional detachment. Now, this doesn't mean becoming cold, numb, or disconnected from people. It means something far more empowering. You stop being dragged into the chaos of your emotions, and instead, you learn how to witness them with clarity. Think about how most of us live. If someone insults us, we feel instantly hurt. If plans fall apart, we get angry or frustrated. If someone doesn't treat us the way we expect, we spiral into sadness or disappointment. These emotional reactions happen so quickly that they feel automatic, as if we have no control over them. But detachment comes when you realize that you don't have to ride every wave of emotion. You can step back and watch the wave rise and fall without drowning in it. This shift is subtle, but it's life-changing. You begin to notice that situations which once triggered you don't hold the same power anymore. An argument that would have kept you awake at night suddenly feels less important. A criticism that would have crushed your confidence now feels like just an opinion passing through the air. You're no longer chained to the ups and downs of every little thing. You've learned to breathe, to observe, and to let go. Here's a simple example. Imagine someone cuts in line at the grocery store. In the past, you might have felt your blood boil and thought about it all day. But now, you might shrug, smile to yourself, and think, they must really be in a hurry. The action hasn't changed, someone was still rude, but your reaction has. That is the essence of emotional detachment. From a spiritual perspective, detachment is freedom. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care from a higher place. You're no longer enslaved to the drama of life. Instead of being a puppet pulled by the strings of your emotions, you're the one holding the strings. This is why many spiritual teachers talk about detachment as the first step toward inner peace. Because when your emotions no longer dictate your entire reality, you begin to live from a place of strength. And here the key: detachment isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about recognizing them without letting them dominate you. You can still feel sadness, joy, anger, or excitement, but you choose how to express them rather than being controlled by them. This choice is the difference between reacting and responding. So if you've noticed lately that things which used to upset you don't shake you as much anymore, take it as confirmation. The observer key is already at work in your life. This detachment is not indifference, it's empowerment. It's the sign that you're ready to live with clarity, no longer trapped by the storms of fleeting emotions, but guided by the calm strength of awareness. The second sign: synchronicities multiply. Another unmistakable sign that your destiny is shifting is the sudden increase in synchronicities. These are those strange, almost magical moments when life seems to speak to you in patterns, repeating numbers, chance encounters, or events aligning in ways too precise to be random. Some call them coincidences, but when you start noticing them more frequently, you realize there's something deeper, signals that you're on the right path. Think of synchronicities as road signs placed by the universe. They don't force you to go a certain way, but they gently nudge you, saying, pay attention here, something important is unfolding. For example, maybe you keep seeing the same sequence of numbers, 11, 11, 222, or 444. At first, you might shrug it off, but when it happens 3, 4, or 5 times in a single day, it's hard to ignore. These repeating numbers are like subtle confirmations that your energy is aligning with a greater flow. It's not just numbers. Synchronicities can show up as words, symbols, or even people. You might overhear a conversation that directly answers a question you've been wrestling with. You may dream of a certain symbol, only to see it again the next day on a billboard. Or perhaps you're thinking of reconnecting with an old friend, and suddenly they message you out of nowhere. These aren't accidents. They're part of the invisible language of alignment. Psychologists like Carl Jung described synchronicity as meaningful coincidence, two events that are not causally connected but deeply significant when experienced together. From a spiritual perspective, synchronicities are evidence that your internal state is harmonizing with external reality. When your awareness shifts, the world seems to respond in kind. Why does this happen? Because once you step into the role of the observer, you're no longer sleepwalking through life. Your perception sharpens, you notice connections others overlook, and as your vibration rises, you begin to attract experiences that mirror your inner clarity. The multiplying synchronicities are not just messages, they're mirrors, reflecting back the truth that you are no longer lost in randomness. Here's the exciting part. Synchronicities often precede major life changes. They're like a cosmic drumroll before the curtain rises. Many people report seeing a flood of these coincidences just before they make breakthroughs in relationships, careers, or personal growth. So if your life lately feels sprinkled with uncanny alignments, trust that you are being guided toward a turning point. Instead of brushing these signs aside, lean into them. Keep a journal of numbers, dreams, and chance encounters. Reflect on what they might be pointing toward, and most importantly, treat them as encouragement. They're the universe's way of saying, you're not wandering aimlessly, you're walking in rhythm with destiny. So if synchronicities have been multiplying in your life, take it as confirmation. The observer key is active, and the path ahead is opening in ways you can no longer dismiss as chance. The third sign: relationships reorganize. When your destiny begins to shift, one of the first areas you'll notice change is in your relationships. People start leaving, new people arrive, and the dynamics with those who stay begin to transform. At first, this can feel unsettling, even painful, but from the perspective of the observer, it becomes clear. Relationships reorganize themselves to match the frequency you're stepping into. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you adjust the frequency, only the stations that match the new signal come through clearly. The same happens with people. As your awareness rises, those who resonate with fear, drama, or stagnation may naturally drift away because they no longer tune in to your energy. This doesn't mean they're bad people, it simply means their role in your story has been completed. You may notice this in subtle ways. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel forced. Friendships that used to energize you begin to drain you. Even family dynamics might shift, as certain patterns no longer have the same grip on you. The observer key allows you to see this not as rejection, but as redirection. Life is clearing space so that new connections, aligned with your growth, can enter. And those new connections do appear. Often, when someone exits your life, another arrives seemingly out of nowhere, a mentor, a supportive friend, or even a partner who resonates with your awakened self. These people tend to carry qualities you've been cultivating within yourself: peace, vision, integrity, or courage. In a way, they are reflections of your own transformation. Of course, letting go can be challenging. We are wired to hold on to the familiar, even when it no longer serves us. But the observer key helps you release with grace. Instead of clinging to relationships that belong to the old chapter, you learn to trust the timing of life. You realize that endings are not failures, they are transitions. Here's something important to remember. Reorganization doesn't always mean people leave completely. Sometimes, existing relationships evolve. A strained connection may heal because you now interact from awareness rather than reaction. Or someone you once kept at a distance may suddenly become a key ally in your growth. The difference is that you no longer force relationships to be what they are. You let them shift naturally, and in doing so, you allow destiny to guide you toward the right connections at the right time. So if you've noticed people drifting away, don't panic. If you felt called to new circles, don't resist. This is a sign that your inner world is rearranging your outer world. Relationships are the mirrors of our destiny, and when they reorganize, it's proof that you're moving into a new chapter that requires different companions for the journey ahead. The fourth sign, inner restlessness. Another clear indicator that your destiny is shifting is a deep sense of inner restlessness. It's that feeling that something in your life is off, even if everything on the outside appears stable. You might look around and think, I should be content, I have what I need, but why do I feel like I don't belong here anymore? That quiet but persistent nudge inside of you is not random dissatisfaction. It's your soul's way of telling you that a new chapter is waiting to begin. Restlessness often shows up during periods of transition. You may suddenly feel bored with routines that once felt comfortable. Conversations or environments that used to energize you now leave you drained. Even the dreams you once chased may no longer excite you the way they used to. This isn't a sign that you're ungrateful, it's a sign that you've outgrown the old structures of your life. Like a bird whose wings are ready before the cage door has opened, your inner being is signaling that it's time to fly further. This stage can feel confusing because nothing is wrong in the traditional sense. In fact, other people may look at your life and wonder why you're not satisfied. But that's because restlessness isn't about what you lack externally, it's about what's awakening internally. Your destiny is pulling you forward, and the discomfort is the friction between where you are and where you're meant to go. Consider how this shows up in small, everyday ways. You may feel an urge to explore new ideas, change your environment, or even shift your career path. You might notice a sudden intolerance for situations you once tolerated. The observer key helps you recognize that this isn't random moodiness. It's the soul's way of creating pressure for growth. Without that restlessness, we'd remain stuck in what's familiar forever. Here's the crucial point. Inner restlessness is not something to silence or push away. It's something to listen to. If you suppress it, it often turns into frustration, anxiety, or even burnout. But if you honor it, it becomes a compass pointing you toward your next step. That might mean learning something new, changing your daily routine, seeking deeper relationships, or preparing for a larger life transition. From a spiritual perspective, restlessness is the prelude to transformation. It's the moment just before the breakthrough, the stirring that prepares you to shed an old identity and step into a new one. And the fact that you're feeling it means you're not asleep. You're awake enough to notice that your soul is moving faster than your circumstances. So if you've been restless lately, don't view it as a problem. See it as proof that your destiny is unfolding. It's not that you're lost, it's that you're being guided. And the unease you feel today is the very sign that tomorrow's path is about to reveal itself. The fifth sign, dreams as warnings guides. One of the most fascinating signs that your destiny is shifting comes through your dreams. When the observer key is active, your subconscious and higher self begin to communicate in clearer, more symbolic ways while you sleep. Dreams are no longer random collections of images. They become maps, warnings, and guidance systems designed to prepare you for the changes unfolding in your life. Think about how powerful this is. During the day, your logical mind is busy filtering information, analyzing, and controlling. But when you sleep, those defenses drop and deeper truths surface. Dreams speak in symbols, doors, flights, floods, animals, strangers, all of which carry messages about what your inner world is processing. For example, dreaming of doors often represents new opportunities. Dreaming of falling may point to fear of losing control as you step into change. Flying often reflects freedom, while floods can symbolize emotional overwhelm. When your destiny is shifting, these dreams intensify. They may feel more vivid, detailed, or even recurring. You might wake up with a strong emotional charge, as though the dream is demanding your attention. This isn't random. It's your soul and subconscious trying to get you ready, showing you what's coming or what needs to be released before the next chapter can fully begin. Some dreams serve as warnings. Perhaps you keep dreaming about an old habit or relationship, reminding you not to slip back into patterns you've already outgrown. Other dreams serve as encouragement, showing you visions of possibilities that excite you, nudging you to trust the path that's opening. In both cases, the dreams are guiding you toward alignment. There are countless stories of people receiving guidance through dreams. Inventors, artists, and even spiritual leaders throughout history have credited dreams with breakthroughs. Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, and Nikola Tesla often spoke about using dream states for inspiration. Spiritually, many traditions describe dreams as portals where the soul travels and receives wisdom unavailable in waking life. So how do you use this sign? Pay attention. Keep a dream journal beside your bed and write down even fragments when you wake up. Over time, patterns will emerge. You might notice the same themes or symbols repeating. That's your observer key helping you connect dots you may otherwise overlook. The very act of observing your dreams strengthens the guidance they provide. Most importantly, don't dismiss your dreams as just imagination. Imagination itself is one of the deepest languages of the soul. If your dreams are more intense lately, see it as confirmation that your destiny is being written on multiple levels, both in your waking choices and in the quiet visions of the night. Dreams are not distractions, they are directions. And when they start speaking louder, it's because you are closer than ever to stepping into the reality your soul has been preparing you for. One of the most liberating effects of activating the observer key is the ability to recognize and finally break the repeating loops in your life. These loops can be emotional patterns, toxic relationships, self-sabotaging habits, or even recurring circumstances that feel like déjà vu. If you've ever caught yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" That's a loop. And until it's observed, it will continue to repeat. Hear why patterns continue because they operate unconsciously. You may not realize that you're choosing the same type of partner, reacting to stress in the same way, or avoiding opportunities out of the same old fears. Without awareness, it feels like fate is punishing you. But when the observer key activates, you suddenly see the cycle from above. You notice the triggers, the choices, and the consequences that form the loop. And once you see it, you can no longer pretend it's invisible. That awareness alone weakens its grip. Imagine a hamster wheel. Without awareness, you're running endlessly, exhausted, and going nowhere. But with awareness, you finally look down and realize you're not on an endless road, you're on a wheel. And the moment you realize it, you also realize you can step off. That's the power of observation. It breaks the illusion of inevitability. For example, maybe you notice that every time you feel rejected, you retreat into isolation and push people away, which only makes you feel more alone, repeating the cycle. With the observer key, you catch the pattern in real time. You pause and say, I see what I usually do here. And instead of reacting the same way, you choose differently, maybe reaching out, being vulnerable, or reframing the rejection. That single conscious choice breaks the loop and the destiny attached to it. Spiritually, breaking loops is about ending karmic cycles. Many traditions teach that lessons repeat until they are learned. The observer key gives you the vision to learn without having to suffer endlessly. You no longer need to circle the same mountain again and again. You can finally climb it. The beauty of breaking loops is that it doesn't just free you, it reshapes your destiny. Every time you refuse to repeat an old cycle, you carve a new path. Every time you respond differently, you create a timeline that didn't exist before. And over time, these new choices accumulate, building a destiny that reflects who you are becoming, not who you used to be. So if you've noticed recurring themes in your life, take it as an invitation. Don't say, "Here we go again." Say, "Here's my chance to finally break free." Loops aren't punishments, they're doorways. And the moment you step through with awareness, you close the cycle forever and step into a destiny that is fresh, alive, and filled with possibility. Every breakthrough comes with a test. When the observer key is activated, the universe doesn't just hand you a new destiny, it checks to see if you're ready to carry it. These tests aren't punishments, they're opportunities to prove to yourself that your awareness is real, not just temporary inspiration. Think of it this way: when you upgrade to a higher level of consciousness, life will often recycle old challenges to see how you respond. Have you truly detached, or will you fall back into the same emotional reactions? Have you truly broken the loop, or will you slip into old habits when temptation knocks at your door? For example, maybe you've been working on releasing toxic relationships. You've gained clarity, felt stronger, and finally let go. But suddenly, that old friend or ex shows up again, reaching out just when you were starting to feel free. This isn't coincidence, it's a test. Do you step back into the old cycle, or do you stand firm in your new awareness? Tests also come through triggers. You may feel you've mastered patience, but then life throws a frustrating delay at you: traffic jams, lost opportunities, or misunderstandings. The test isn't about the event. It's about whether you'll fall into anger again or remain calm, proving to yourself that you've grown. Spiritually, these moments are checkpoints. Think of them as final exams before graduation. Just as a teacher gives you a test not to punish, but to measure readiness, the universe uses challenges to confirm that your observer key is stable. You can't move to the next stage of destiny without demonstrating that you're prepared to handle it. And here's the empowering part. Once you recognize that something is a test, its power diminishes. Instead of spiraling into frustration, you pause and think, I see what's happening. This is my chance to practice what I've learned. Awareness transforms the test into training. Another important truth is that tests often appear at the edge of major breakthroughs. Many people report that just before a promotion, a new relationship, or a fresh opportunity, life seems to throw one last storm their way. It feels discouraging at the time, but in reality, it's the final doorway. Pass the test, and the reward follows. So if you're encountering repeated challenges, don't assume life is against you. Ask yourself, is this a test of my awareness? More often than not, the answer is yes. These trials aren't meant to break you, they're meant to confirm you. And every time you pass, you don't just prove something to the universe, you prove to yourself that you are ready for the destiny that's unfolding. One of the most exciting signs that your destiny is shifting is the sudden appearance of new opportunities. These are the moments when doors open unexpectedly, when chances you didn't plan for show up right in front of you, and when life seems to align in ways that invite you forward. They may arrive quietly, disguised as small offers, or they may arrive dramatically, changing everything at once. But either way, opportunities are a clear sign that you've stepped onto a new frequency. Think of opportunities as doorways. Some are wide and obvious, others are small and require courage to squeeze through. The observer key allows you to notice them. Without awareness, You might ignore the subtle invitation, dismiss the idea, or convince yourself you're not ready. With awareness, however, you see these openings for what they are, alignments that appear when you're prepared to grow. Opportunities can take many forms. It might be a conversation with someone who inspires you to change direction. It could be a job offer, a creative project, or an unexpected chance to travel. Sometimes it's internal, a sudden burst of clarity about what you're meant to do next. And while they may look random, these openings almost always line up with the lessons you've been working through. Break a loop, pass a test, detach from the old, and suddenly new doors swing wide. Here's an example. Imagine you've been feeling restless in your career. You've broken the loop of settling for less, and you've passed the test of patience during a difficult season. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a new opportunity arrives, perhaps a message from someone offering collaboration or a chance encounter that leads to an unexpected path. That's not random. That's your inner shift manifesting as outer opportunity. The challenge, however, is that opportunities don't stay open forever. They are windows, not permanent fixtures. Many people miss their openings because they hesitate, overthink, or wait until it feels safe. But the truth is, opportunities rarely feel safe. They usually stretch you, push you beyond your comfort zone, and demand courage. And that's exactly why they're part of your destiny shift. They're designed to pull you into the version of yourself you've been preparing to become. Spiritually, these openings are often described as divine timing. You may have prayed for a change, set intentions, or simply longed for something better. Opportunities are the universe's way of responding, saying, "Here it is, will you step through?" So when doors begin opening in your life, pay attention. Don't dismiss them because they look small or because you feel unprepared. The very fact that they've appeared means you're ready, even if you don't fully believe it yet. Opportunities are confirmations that your destiny is not stuck, it's in motion. And every time you walk through one of those doors, you're stepping deeper into the path you were always meant to live. In a world overflowing with noise, one of the most overlooked but powerful keys to destiny shifts is silence. When the observer key activates, you begin to realize that silence and stillness aren't empty, they're full. They hold guidance, clarity, and strength that can't be accessed any other way. Most people are so busy running, scrolling, talking, and reacting that they never hear the quiet voice within. The observer, however, thrives in silence. Stillness is the space where you separate from the constant pull of the outside world and finally listen to yourself. Without these pauses, you may miss the very signals your soul is sending. Think about it, some of your most important realizations probably came when you were away from the noise. Maybe it was during a walk in nature, sitting in your room at night, or even in those moments before falling asleep. Clarity doesn't shout, it whispers, and you need silence to hear it. Stillness also acts as a reset button. When you're overwhelmed, anxious, or unsure, silence clears away the static. Even just 5 minutes of deep breathing, with no phone and no distractions, can bring you back into alignment. Spiritually, many traditions teach that silence is where the divine speaks. The Bible calls it the still small voice. Eastern traditions describe it as inner meditation, where truth rises from within. However you describe it, silence is the bridge between the observer and destiny. Practically, you don't need hours of meditation to benefit from stillness. It can be woven into daily life. Take a quiet pause before answering a difficult message. Sit in your car for 2 minutes before walking into work. Step outside, close your eyes, and feel the air for a moment before re-entering the busyness. These small acts of silence give the observer space to guide you. Here's the beauty: when you practice stillness, you stop reacting impulsively. Instead of sending that angry text, you breathe. Instead of making a decision in panic, you wait until clarity comes. Stillness gives you back your power because it allows choices to arise from awareness rather than chaos. Another gift of silence is energy protection. Noise often drains us: arguments, social media, endless conversations. But when you sit in stillness, you recharge. You reclaim your inner space. And the more you do this, the more you strengthen the observer key, because awareness always grows where silence is allowed. So if your destiny is shifting, carve out moments of quiet. Treat silence not as emptiness, but as sacred ground. It is in the stillness where you realign, where you remember who you are, and where the whispers of your next step can finally be heard. When your destiny begins to shift, protecting that transformation becomes just as important as experiencing it. Think of it like planting a seed. Once it starts to sprout, it's fragile. It needs protection from weeds, harsh weather, and careless footsteps. Your inner growth works the same way. If you don't guard it, old patterns, draining people, and negative influences can choke out the progress you've made. The first step in protecting your shift is guarding your energy. As awareness expands, you become more sensitive to the environments you're in and the people around you. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel lighter or do you feel drained? Do certain conversations leave you motivated or do they pull you back into fear and gossip? Protecting your shift means setting boundaries without guilt. It's not about cutting everyone off, but about being intentional with who and what you allow into your space. The second layer of protection is discipline over your focus. The observer key thrives on clarity, but clarity is easily clouded by distraction. Social media, constant news cycles, and endless comparison can quickly drag you back into unconscious living. Protecting your shift requires choosing carefully what you feed your mind. Ask yourself, does this content align with the person I'm becoming, or does it anchor me to the person I've already outgrown? Practical tools can help strengthen this protection. Journaling keeps your thoughts clear and reveals patterns you might miss in daily busyness. Meditation and prayer create a spiritual shield, anchoring you in presence. Even simple practices like daily affirmations, reminding yourself of who you are and where you're going, act as guards at the door of your destiny. Another vital aspect is rest. Growth requires energy, and transformation can be exhausting. Protecting your shift means giving yourself permission to slow down, to recharge, and to say no when your body or spirit asks for space. Many people burn out during periods of transition because they try to carry old workloads while stepping into new awareness. But destiny isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Protecting your energy ensures you can actually sustain the journey. Finally, remember that protection doesn't mean fear. It doesn't mean hiding from challenges. It means standing strong in your awareness and choosing environments, habits, and people that nourish rather than sabotage your path. Think of it as building a sacred boundary around your growth, not to keep the world out, but to give your soul room to expand. So ask yourself, what boundaries need strengthening in my life? What voices or influences need to be turned down so I can hear my own? Protecting your shift is an act of self-respect, and the more you honor it, the more powerfully your destiny will unfold. Reaching this point means you've recognized the signs, broken loops, endured tests, and opened yourself to new opportunities. But awareness alone isn't enough. Now it's about walking forward with power. The observer key doesn't just allow you to notice your destiny shift, it invites you to actively participate in shaping it. This is where intention meets action. Walking forward with power begins with a choice, to live as the observer rather than slipping back into unconscious patterns. It's easy to fall into old habits, but each day offers the chance to step into clarity. That might mean pausing before reacting, choosing silence over conflict, or courage over comfort. These small daily choices are what anchor your transformation. It's also about carrying yourself differently. Power doesn't mean forcing outcomes or controlling everything around you. True power is presence. It's the calm confidence of someone who knows they're aligned with their purpose. You no longer chase validation from others because your awareness validates you. You no longer fear uncertainty because you recognize it as the space where new possibilities are born. Think of walking forward with power as embodying your destiny before it fully arrives. If opportunities are doors, your role is to walk through them with courage, even when you don't know exactly what's on the other side. If tests are challenges, your role is to face them with awareness, knowing each one is shaping you for greater responsibility. If relationships are reorganizing, your role is to welcome the new connections without clinging to the old. Practical steps help too. Setting clear intentions each morning keeps you focused. Affirmations like "I walk in clarity," "I move in purpose," "I'm aligned with my destiny" serve as reminders of your inner power. Surrounding yourself with supportive people and uplifting environments strengthens your path. Even taking small, consistent actions toward your goals proves to yourself that you are no longer waiting for life to happen, you are co-creating it. Most importantly, walking forward with power means trusting the process. Not every day will feel easy. There will be doubts, delays, and moments of uncertainty, but the observer key allows you to see these not as roadblocks, but as part of the unfolding journey. Every challenge is sharpening you. Every delay is positioning you. Every step, even the small ones, is a declaration that you are moving into the destiny prepared for you. So as you step forward, remember this: you are not the same person who began this journey. You've unlocked the observer key. You've shifted from being controlled by life to consciously shaping it. And now, your role is simply to keep walking with awareness, with courage, and with power, because the destiny you've been sensing is no longer on its way. It's already here, waiting for you to fully claim it. You found the observer key, now walk forward with courage. Your destiny is shifting. Stay aware, stay powerful. Like, share, subscribe to Quantum Veil, and comment, I am ready.